It's a rare pleasure. It's a rare pleasure to be taking a call this afternoon on this debate on the Hamilton City Council Parana Park land vesting bill. In commenting, sir, on this title clause, I wanted to just raise a question about the Hamilton City Council, because what we've seen, sir, over the last year or two is a great deal of concern all around New Zealand. Every council, every district council, every city council around New Zealand has been rather worried at the prospect of a unified Auckland as was executed by the Honourable Rodney Hyde. And we've seen a flurry of initiatives to amalgamate. And the fear that's being stoked, sir, around the use of the word Hamilton City Council in this bill is that this region could very quickly end up being amalgamated, and we could see a different local government entity. And we saw this recently with George Hawkins' bill, the Manukau street prostitution bill. And that was passed in this House at first reading, and then very quickly with the creation of the new Auckland Council, otherwise known as the Auckland Super City, it had to be then sent back to the Auckland Council. They had to be asked about whether or not they wanted to pick this bill up. What started out as a local bill sponsored by my colleague George Hawkins for Manukau City Council is now, sir, going to become a local bill for the Auckland Council. And I think, sir, that raises the question of whether or not the title of this bill for Hamilton City Council, whether or not that is going to have any sort of life, or whether it should in fact be changed. Because, sir, recently the Property Council of New Zealand actually just published this report, Initiatives for Hamilton, and it's one of what is a flurry of initiatives all around the country looking at local government amalgamation. And the Property Council have proposed for Hamilton an amalgamation of 4 territorial local authorities in the Waikato region. And what this would do probably, Mr. Chairman, is that it would necessitate a change in the title, possibly before this bill is even passed. And it would have to be referred back to the august Local Government and Environment Committee chaired by my colleague Christopher Ockenvoll. And it might have to be the Waikato Regional Council Parana Park Vesting Bill 2010, because this kind of initiative that the Property Council have proposed would see 4 local bodies in the Waikato merged into one. And it's quite interesting. They've also proposed the total corporatisation of the assets and services of those local councils in the Waikato, and the amalgamation into a super unitary authority. So I think that does raise the question, sir, of whether or not the title should be amended at this stage. Otherwise, it may have to be referred back to the Select Committee before it's even passed. The land vesting, sir, is important, and we saw a recent example, and perhaps it should be called the Park Securing Bill, because we saw recently in the legislation for setting up the Auckland Super City a threat to the security and the local ownership of the Waitakere Ranges, and there was a great deal of concern in Auckland, particularly in West Auckland, people who'd fought long and hard for the Waitakere Ranges parkland to be held in perpetuity by the people of Auckland, and there was a great deal of concern that the bill that transferred over those provisions in the existing legislation, that transferred over the title of the parkland to the new Auckland Council, actually weakened the protections and could open the door for Centennial Park in the Waitakeres to be transferred out of local ownership. And there was a great deal of concern about that, a great deal of debate, and I think some of those concerns were somewhat assuaged but not entirely. So the land vesting in this title is incredibly important, and possibly, we could think about calling that the land park strengthening.
I call the honourable